Let's then start with a quick prayer, thanking the benefactors, our guardian angels, and those who helped us to be gathered together today for another day of study. May they inspire us, guide us through this study, so that we, on the physical side, just as those who are trying to learn together with us on the spiritual side, we may absorb the teachings and transform them within ourselves, so helping us to improve, not just in our knowledge, but most especially in our behavior. So be it. I'll share my screen. Just make it a bit bigger. Can everyone see it? Yeah? Okay. So last time we were studying, this special class of medium, and the last one we stopped here. We'd seen previously painting and drawing mediums and other types of mediumship, some numbalistic mediums. So we had a special variety of mediums, and just bearing in mind that this classification is not something rigid. It is basically to help us in our study of mediumship and our understanding also, because with great difficulty we can draw, if we can, a line saying, oh, from this line to this side is this type of medium, from this line to that side is that other type of medium. So mediumship is just a faculty that manifests itself in different fronts, some of them more advanced than others, but then in order to understand the phenomenon. So it's interesting to divide into classes, especially based on the predominance, the type of mediumship that is clear within the medium. So musical mediums, those who compose or perform music under the influence of spirits. There are mechanical, semi-mechanical, intuitive, and inspirational musical mediums. There are also literary mediums of the same nature. See the section on musical effects mediums. So we clearly see that these are writing mediums. If you are, composing something, you are writing. And why not just say that they are, writing mediums instead of saying they are musical mediums? Because the type of writing they are doing has to do with music. And it also says here, literary mediums. I mean, we may write, books regarding stories or, perhaps scientific subjects.
Poetry.
So it depends. Sir Charles?
Poetry.
Oh, Elsa-Lee.
I don't know, it's too early to talk something her hand there, I don't know. But only because you mean music medium, sometimes it happens. I receive music, but letter too at the same time, and I must sit and I must sing it to understand the moment when it's sit and scream. It happens. So it's not often, but it happens, and I have some musicals already. Oh. So,
yeah. Okay, thanks, Cecily. And you see, a medium may receive, music today, and tomorrow he may start writing a book about something else. So just for us to see that, this is not, a class that is totally divided, but you know, it very much depends on the type of manifestation that then we classify mediumship. I don't know if Charles wants to add something on that, or if we can move
Yes,
forward.
when you see the literary medium, it is like Chico Xavier when he received Parnaso del Túmulo. It's
Yeah.
poetry. And also interesting, it's like a writing medium, as he wrote. There's the three categories, mechanics, semi-intuitive, and intuitive.
Yeah, exactly. If we look at the phenomenon itself, it is the same. The end result is different, because instead of writing, you know, a novel, instead of writing poetry, instead of writing a letter from a deceased one, you write, you know, music, you know. So,
But if it is intuitive, at least the medium has to know how to write music,
oh yeah.
Otherwise, it doesn't work.
Yeah. Okay. So variety of writing mediums. So now we're going to talk about writing mediums and the different, you know, types of writing mediums. 191. 1, according to the method of execution. So this classification is based on the method of execution. Writing or psychographical mediums. Those who have the ability to write by themselves while under the influence of spirits. So this is, you know, writing or psychographical mediums in general terms. So mechanical writing mediums. Those who write by receiving an involuntary impulse of their hands without being conscious of what they are writing. Very rare. Sometimes people who start actually to work in the field of you know, mechanical writing, or sorry, writing mediumship or psychography, they expect since the very beginning to be in this class of mediumship, mechanical. So mechanical, the medium is not aware of what, you know, is being writing, and basically the spirit mechanically uses the hand of the medium to write something. So it doesn't go through the part of the medium's brain, or the medium is not, you know, aware of the content of the message. It's just a process. I would almost say that it is a physical kind of process where the hand writes what the medium is not aware of. So some mediums, they will only realize, you know, the content of the message after it's been written. And again, it's very rare, you know.
Munir?
Yeah.
So the spirit can act directly on the hand of the medium, but he can also act in the motor center in the brain of the hand of the medium.
Yeah. Yeah, it wouldn't be, yes, just taking up the arm and moving it around, because you can control that from the motor center of the brain. Yeah. But the thing is, it doesn't go through the part of the brain where the medium receives the content of the message.
Cognition.
Yes. Semi-mechanical mediums, those who write under an involuntary impulse. So until here is the same, impulse of the hand, but who are immediately conscious of the words and sentences they are writing, the most common. So it's semi-mechanical because at the same time, or almost immediately after writing something, the medium is also aware of the content of the message. The first one is like the spirit is writing, but he's not saying anything. So we'll get to know the message later. Semi-mechanical mediums is almost as if the spirit is writing and telling the medium what he's writing. You know, you write and you also say what you're writing in loud words. Just, you know, as an example. So the medium is also aware of what the spirit is writing, but the movement is still involuntary. So we see that it's exactly the same as in mechanical medium, voluntary impulse of the hand. But the difference is that the medium is or is not aware of the content of the message. And then intuitive mediums, those who receive communications from spirits mentally, but who write by their own will. They differ from inspirational mediums, who do not necessarily have to write. Intuitive mediums, on the other hand, register thoughts which is rapidly suggested concerning a specific topic. So intuitive medium, it is as if the spirit is just dictating something and we write. We receive the information and then we voluntarily write, we mediums write. And it, it makes a distinction between intuitive medium, where a message is coming through, the medium is aware of its content and then starts to write, register the medium, and inspirational mediums. And it says here, who do not necessarily have to write. Sometimes the inspiration comes as a flash, and then you have this inspiration, but you do not necessarily write. So if you're writing a sequence of thoughts, then you write them on a piece of paper. You decide voluntarily to do that. And then in the end, you check the message, the consistency of the message, and everything else. Anything to add, Charles?
No, that's clear.
Yeah, okay. These are quite common, but they are also very prone to err because they often cannot discern what comes from the spirit from what comes from themselves. This is very important, especially with the beginners. And some beginners, they are afraid of writing something of their own. So to them, it's not clear if the message has been, has come as an intuition from the spirit or is something of themselves. But it's important to say that, we are a world in itself. So when a spirit comes and tells us something, and we have to write that, there will always be, to a greater or lesser degree, interference from us. It's the same thing when someone comes and tells us a story. If we are going to tell someone else that story, we will, put some elements of our own because we think that word suits better than the word we heard. And, the story would be better if we, placed in a different environment or something like that. So we always do that. When we were kids, there was that play where, we had the cordless phone, where someone would tell the guy next to him a story or something, and then that guy would tell the next one, and then you go around until it came back to the first person, the person who first said that, and the message had been distorted. So that clearly see that, we always put something of ourselves into the message. So for those who are intuitive mediums, the great exercise is to learn how to keep the information as close to what the spirit has conveyed as possible. Okay. So everybody quiet. Okay. Holographical mediums. Those who change their handwriting according to the communicating spirit, or who have the ability to duplicate the handwriting that the communicating spirit exhibited during its lifetime. The former is very common. The latter, identical handwriting, is rarer. So we see here that at this point here, the way the medium writes may be, very close or exact the way the spirit used to write. And there are many cases here in Brazil, known cases, registered cases, where the way the spirit wrote, the content, the words used, and also, signature of that person could be confirmed, could be checked and could be confirmed. And in some cases that was even used as a proof in the courts, to decide about a case that was going on, because they could check the handwriting. But this is rare. It says there, it's rare to write exactly the way the spirit used to write, but identical writing, and in this case, including the signature of the spirit, is even rarer. So we should be careful not to generalize something that is very rare to find. Sometimes we tend to think, oh, okay, I'm developing, or I show signs of being, a writing medium. So we expect to have all the package together, but as it's been said here, it's very, very rare when you get to this point as writing medium to write exactly the way the spirit does or used to do. Polyglot mediums, those who have the faculty of speaking or writing in unknown languages, also very rare. And I call the attention to the fact it says here speaking or writing, but we are talking about writing mediums. But the polyglot, he may talk verbally, or he may write in a foreign language, a known language. So it may happen, in different types of mediumship. It may happen, in this way as a polyglot medium. So just to show again that this division is not, something that is rigid, but we see these manifestations in different types, writing mediums, speaking mediums, and so on. Illiterate mediums, those who write only as mediums, since they cannot neither read nor write in their normal state. When we say illiterate mediums, we should remember that through reincarnation, that spirit may bring a baggage, may have spoken different language, may have been, someone who, learned a lot and contributed a lot in certain areas in the past, but due to the program of this present incarnation, may have these sides dormant. So when we say illiterate mediums, it is illiterate in this life. Never spoke, never learned that language, but, as medium, can write, a language. It is, related to the previous item, polyglot mediums, because polyglot mediums, you can write in an unknown language. If a language is unknown to me, I'm illiterate in that language. So it's more or less the same thing. I see it to be more or less the same thing, because, if I write something as medium, I write something in Russian, I'm illiterate in Russian. I can recognize perhaps one or two letters only, because they are close to Greek, and because, we get to know a few letters of the Greek alphabet, and then I can decipher that letter, nothing more than that. So we see that the spirits, they utilize the baggage of the medium. The baggage may have been acquired in this incarnation or in previous incarnation. We know cases of illiterate mediums here in Brazil who came and stayed in that condition because they wanted to work another side of the personality as such, and they had the opportunity, keeping one side that was well developed in them, quiet, dormant in that particular incarnation. So we see sometimes people who are illiterate but very wise. That shows that, you know, they bring a natural baggage with them. And where is that baggage coming from? Acquired during previous incarnations. And we shouldn't expect also miracles. All of a sudden we know everything. We write in all languages upside down, you know. Well, if something happens with us, that is because we bring something in us that allows, you know, a spirit to act, and through us, you know, in that particular situation with those characteristics. And there is a note here, much rarer than the preceding types. There is a greater physical difficulty to overcome. What is this physical difficulty to overcome? Hi, Jackie.
This might sound like a silly question, but stupid. It comes across as the parts where it says it's a rare occurrence. And this last statement, much rarer than the preceding types, there is a greater physical difficulty to overcome. We've studied previously that a lot goes in when spirits are manipulating objects or moving things, and it's rare, it's you know, what goes into that whole process is much more complicated. There's a lot of physics that goes into it. This is just in my head a question. That difficulty could that difficulty also be because of the physical aspect of this type of mediumship? Because there is the incarnated spirit, and then there's the disincarnated spirit, there is the physical, the perispirit, there's all of those other factors involved in the ability. Or is it rare because we haven't developed to that extent yet? Or I don't know, sorry.
Yeah, I'll give you an explanation the way I see. I see exact physical in the sense of the physical body of the medium, because that medium hasn't developed the brain as such to be able to be a channel of the information. It has to go through the brain, unless, you know, it is, as I said, purely physical mediumship, where the spirit takes up the arm of the medium and starts to, you know, to write using his hand, like, you know, teachers, you know, in primary school used to do for us to learn how to do exactly, you know, the way we expect to do certain letters and so on, and you had some difficulties. Let's take, for instance, a little robot controlled by a remote control. The robot can only move forwards and backwards. This is the only thing anyone can do in control of this remote control. Go forwards and backwards, nothing else. He may be the most, you know, sort of versatile person in that area, working with robots and so, but can only move forwards and backwards. And then you take another robot that can go backwards, forwards, sideways, and jump, and so you can express yourself better using that kind of robot, the remote control. We have the development of our brain. We've just mentioned control of our motor area, and, you know, and of course it depends very much on the type of mediumship, because here, you know, is saying illiterate mediums in general terms. So what kind of a mediumship are you talking about? Purely mechanical, semi-mechanical? So, I mean, there are all these elements, but in the end, it's the ability of the medium, the physical one, to be able to transform the information into something physical. The medium, in this case, offers physically a barrier to the spirits. I don't know if it makes sense. Then
It
there's
did.
Charles wants to add something.
No, it's clear.
Thank
We
you.
see, for instance, people, calls my attention, people who are physically impaired by, for instance, an accident. They were brilliant. I knew he was a football commentator in Brazil. He was very lively, talkative, and so on, and he had a car accident. And his expressions, his physical manifestation, was so limited, I couldn't say he was the same person. And I said, where is all the information? How is his spirit now is the same, but his physical body has changed. So the brain wouldn't then no longer allow him to manifest in full, full power or whatever. It was very limited. It's like the case of the robot that loses movement sideways and, jump and so on, and only goes forwards and backwards all of a sudden for a physical problem. And I see that when it says physical limitations, it's this type of limitation, because our brain develops according to, what we learn, the abilities we learn, and then we become a type of instrument. If we don't develop certain abilities, neither in this life, and especially if you haven't developed in previous lives, then it becomes a different type of instrument. So what can we do with this instrument? That's how I understand when it's said here that there is a greater physical difficulty to overcome. Okay. 192. What's the time? Okay. According to the development of the faculty. So this is another way to classify writing mediums. Novice mediums, those whose faculties are not yet completely developed and who do not yet possess the necessary experience. So experience is very important. Everyone wishing to develop mediumship, develop in the sense of learning how to work with the faculty, goes through the different phases. So when we see someone working within mediumship as a medium should work, it didn't happen all of a sudden. It required a lot of effort, a lot of study, and a lot of discipline from the part of that medium. So first category here are those who are starting, the novice mediums. Unproductive mediums, those who only receive unimportant things, monosyllables, letters, or strokes. So we have a chapter on formation of mediums. So it's referring to these chapters. So we see that, what comes from the message, they are very, very important. So that's why mediums, when developing mediumship, should always analyze the faculty and see what is producing, what type of message, what is the content. Am I only making some very simple, drawings, or, a few letters only, or so it is classified here as unproductive mediums. Developed or fully formed mediums. Those who have their mediumistic faculty fully developed and who transmit communications easily, rapidly. and without hesitation. We should understand that these mediums' abilities can only be obtained through practice, whereas among novice mediums, the communications are slow and difficult. So we know that, you know, when seeing mediums in this phase of, you know, development of the faculty. I don't like the word development because it gives the impression that, you know, I have a mediumship, you know, sort of very subtle today, and tomorrow by, you know, working with mediumship, it becomes, you know, a faculty that, you know, is clearly there and shows full signs of it. No, I like the word, it said the word, you use the word here that, you know, let me see where I saw. I said that this is the right words. Those who have a music fan, I can't find it now. So basically, it's just a question of work and provide discipline to the faculty. Work within, you know, the best conditions possible, and it requires study, it requires practice. That's why, you know, it's so important to look after, for someone who shows clear signs of mediumship, that is important to work and to have the control of the faculty, being disciplined, studying, you know, and practicing in a good way the faculty. Sorry. Laconic mediums. Those who receive communications easily, but which are brief and undeveloped. So it's divided here in two parts. First, easily receives message, but they are not messages. They're brief messages, short messages, and, you know, they are not developed in terms of content. This is something that, you know, within mediumship is very important. Always evaluating the content of the message. Explicit mediums. Those who receive broad and lengthy communications, like those one would expect from a consummate writer. This aptitude is related to the ease with which the fluids are combined. Spirits seek out these mediums in order to address subjects that require great development. So we see the importance of these, I wouldn't say matching, but the combination of fluids. And when we see this combination of fluids, I always ask myself, what kind of combination is that? Because we know that we can combine two liquids and it becomes, you know, something else, a combination of these two liquids. But when, you know, it says here, a combination of fluids, I understand more in the sense of being in tune. The more you tune in, you spirit or you medium tune in, or the two tune in, the better is the communication. But to be able to tune in, borrowing the example of radio communication in our worlds, you need to have the receiver, and you have to need, you know, the signal being sent to the receiver. If the receiver is not good, the message, you know, that you receive is not of high quality in terms of, you know, tuning. But if they are finely tuned, then you can easily send the information, and the information can be easily received. So I see when it says here fluids, you know, combined, it means that, you know, you need that kind of resonance between the two to be able to, you know, have these communication in this way.
Oh,
So this, yeah.
I have a
Oh,
question.
Yes,
Here,
sir.
here it says that spirits seek out these mediums in order to address. So a medium at the same time, if there are 2 or 3 or 4 spirits, one wanted to communicate with that medium. Do you know more about this? How it works?
If you're working, let's take the example of, spiritist mediumship session. You have a work that has a program. You have the work organized on the physical side by the mediums, by the director, by the dialoguers or indoctrinators. But we also have a team on the other side. So it's necessary to bring, as it says here, lengthy communication and communication in depth. Of course, this is organized. It's not something that they choose at the last minute who's going to talk to that medium. So this is a work that has been prepared.
Okay.
And yeah,
Makes sense. Yeah.
no problem.
Thank you.
Would you like to add something, Charles?
Yes, I mean, it's laconic is one and explicit is the opposite.
Yeah.
Or 2 extremes somehow.
Yeah. Experienced mediums. Ease of writing is a matter of practice and can be obtained relatively quickly, whereas experience is the result of seriously studying all the difficulties that may arise in the practice of Spiritism. I think this summarizes, if someone would ask me for a piece of advice regarding mediumship, I would read this first part here of this paragraph. Ease of writing is one thing, it's a question of practice, but experience is the result of seriously studying all the difficulties. So when we say develop mediumship within a spiritist context, we mean practicing, but also acquiring the experience. Understanding this classification to see exactly how we can move forward. Because if I'm laconic today, will I be laconic for the rest of my life? Or can I do something better? Of course, all the efforts that we make to improve our faculty in this sense, study more, will be helped by the spirits. No doubt regarding that. But of course, we are human beings, and sometimes we may be comfortable in the way our faculty is, and not make the effort to improve it as such. So this first paragraph, I think, is very important regarding mediumship within the spiritist context. Experience confers upon mediums the necessary tact for appraising the nature of the spirits who manifest, for determining through the smallest indications their good or evil qualities, and for discerning the trickery of the deceptive spirits who disguise themselves with the appearance of truth. This is something also very important. How can I tell if this message comes from a good spirit or a spirit who is prone to mockery, to trickery? Oh no, I'm a good person. I'm a good person, only good spirits come and talk to me, through me. So the medium is showing a pride, is showing. So I think it's very important to be humble in the sense that perhaps today we are being the victim if we can say a victim of, you know, trickery or mockery or whatever, but as a learning process. If we want to learn, we move away from that situation. If we don't, we'll just stay, you know, there, always in a condition to be the victim of these type of, you know, of spirit, because they don't see us. We don't give the value to our faculty. And it's fundamental for the spiritist, for the medium who wants to do a nice work, who wants to make a good use of the faculty, to be able to develop these refined judgment of the content of the message. Look at the content of the message, look at the process of receiving the message, be humble and say, well, the content of this message, you know, doesn't make much sense when we look at these or that aspect. So why would a spirit come here and say all these things, which is completely out of context and doesn't add value to the study, to the meeting, to the purpose of this mediumship group? So everything has to be evaluated, and to be able to make a good judgment, we need experience. And experience we gain through, as been said at the beginning, study, through practice as well, but through learning, you know, what can happen in the context of mediumship. We easily comprehend the importance of this quality, without which all others would lose their real usefulness. The problem is that many mediums confuse experience, the fruit of study, with an ability arising solely from the organism. Some people, since very early ages, they have signs of mediumship very clearly. And mediumship, you know, with a channel wide open, they see spirits everywhere. They can hear spirits. They, you know, have the faculty very clear there. This is not a sign of an uneducated, developed medium. It's a sign of the faculty. It's just that. It's just saying, well, that is a very strong guy. He's got a very strong, you know, body, and yeah, it is a strong body. What's he doing? Is he doing with that? Well, a person can do many things with a strong body, from punching people in the streets to helping them, you know, in difficult situations, difficult circumstances, with the same, you know, physical ability that that person has. It's the same with mediumship. To be able to see spirits everywhere, to be in constant contact with spirits everywhere, is not the same thing as being an experienced medium. So to be experienced, again, experienced mediums, they come as a result of study. And the study here is not just reading, but analyzing everything regarding the faculty. Everything. So when we say develop mediumship within a spiritist context, we mean studying, being in control of the faculty, knowing all the difficulties that may, you know, be faced by the mediums, all the trickery that the medium is subject to, you know, and always work in its moral improvement, because the moral of the medium is a barrier. If the medium is full of selfishness, if it's full of pride, that will prevent the good use of the faculty, the tuning with higher spirits on a constant basis, and will be then prone to be the victim of, you know, spirits with not that good intention. They deem themselves to be masters because they write easily, but they reject all counsel and become the prey of deceitful and hypocritical spirits, who latch onto them by flattering their pride. see the next chapter on obsession. So I think it couldn't be clearer, couldn't it? I think this is very important. This should be, you know, offered to anyone who comes to us talking about, oh, I think I'm a medium and what should I do? You know, it's precious. This information, this guidance here, it is really, really precious because it summarizes all that is necessary actually to be what we call good medium. As Guilherme normally says, good medium is not the medium who can easily talk to spirits. No, it's the medium who makes very good use of the faculty at the level that he or she has. No matter if it's just intuitive and, you know, every now and then, or every day, seeing, hearing, and doesn't matter. And it says here also that our moral level will dictate what kind of spirit will, you know, approach us and find shelter within us. Flexible mediums. Those who possess faculties that more easily lend themselves to the diverse kinds of communications, and through whom all or nearly all spirits can manifest either spontaneously or through evocation. So we see, you know, it's a versatile medium, kind of medium that, you know, receives different types of spirits and, you know, manifesting spontaneously. And at Kardec's time, they used also to evoke a lot of spirits, especially with the purpose of clarifying certain things that they, you know, wanted to be checked and so on, and questions that they want to make to that particular spirits. Okay, let's move forward then. This variety of medium is very close to the sensitive type. Hi, Osoli.
Yeah. Harmonia, and this is exato. Flexible mediums.
Flexible, yeah.
Sometimes it's very difficult because I don't know. I think it's mediumship is in the mediumship is when we meet together to work, and I don't know. It's I have a little bit difficult to understand this one because is it a flexible medium or medium? You know, medium doesn't have any control of myself. So I have difficult sometimes. But I don't know. I don't like. I like is mediumship. Is in the mediumship. Is in the medium. So now, assume we have a mediumship, and I would like to know because I try be a good medium because I know I am serious, but I have difficulty exactly flexible medium. Sometimes in the mediums reunião mediúnica, I have a difficulty to is one spirit is me because sometimes I have a difficulty. I must recognize this because not I know I am serious. I never could think now I do so here. No, I try be a good, a serious.
Why do you think that a flexible medium is not serious? Why do we associate one thing with the other?
Because you know, we maybe we will see this later, but people try, they are not medium, they would like to take up money or try to be something they are not.
You see,
Something.
it is not the type of faculty, but it is actually the use you make of your faculty. I think that is important, because sometimes, yes, we see people. Sometimes we're not sure that they are flexible mediums. They may pretend they are flexible mediums. They see, they hear, they write, but some mediums are. They are the type of mediums who help in all communications. They may receive a written message. They may, talk, have a spoken communication. They make, make some drawings or something, but always serious, always something related to the work of the group. Unfortunately, when we see, these shows that, some mediums, when they go to the media and then they create all these situations, yes, they see, they hear, they have to. If they only receive written messages, what is the purpose,
And now I think about, I think in my case, I think, as animism, we know this, the soul, medium soul is talking, and we know it can't happen, so sometimes I can't see difference. I think at this I would like the point.
Yeah. Because you see, if you are serious, being a writing medium, you're serious. You only receive written communication through intuition, for instance. Okay? But you receive this, but also you receive a message from spirits through different types of mediumship. So what's the problem? I think it should be evaluated according to the way the process takes place, and not the fact that it takes place. It's just being useful medium. If you're being useful, at this moment, writing something, because the spirit was speaking, and you received information from the same case, written information, because if you started speaking, it would create a problem. But then you receive also a message, from a scientist, the spirit who was a scientist, and then all of a sudden you start writing poetry. But it has to be analyzed, in the context of the situation, and also the content of the message. What's the purpose in receiving, this kind of information? If we were dealing with another situation there in the meeting, and then you question the content of the communication, the process of communication, not the fact that you can receive. You can be a flexible medium. I think flexible, just like any other type of mediumship. We can say that mediums who speak are more serious than mediums who only write. No, flexible mediums are mediums who can tune in with the different types of spirits, give different types of communication, but always serious.
It's the same to psychophony. It's the same.
The same thing.
And thank you.
Yeah.
But I feel good now. Thank you.
Charles, have you anything to add?
Yes, an example is Chico Xavier.
Yeah. Yes, he had all sorts of mediumship. From materialization, he was a medium of materialization. Not all the time, but he could do that. He could write. He could, So yes, it is an example.
Scientific, poetic.
Yes, yes. Novels
from different spirits.
Yeah. So yeah, so I think it's the best example that we had. But, yeah. But always doing something useful. Always, whatever the the type of mediumship that was taking place, he was being useful, and this is a way to say if this is serious communication or not. Is the end result of that communication, and not the fact that you can, switch between one type and another, receive spirits with a type, and now you receive someone who was very bright, very intelligent, and all of a sudden you receive a spirit who have even difficulty to manifest him or herself, or this is also flexible medium. You can receive a suffering spirit in terrible condition, and immediately after that you may receive a benefactor. So switch that, completely different frequency, but you are capable of doing that. So it shows the flexibility. Okay, I think I'll stop here. So next week we start with the exclusive mediums. I'm sure some of you are very curious to see the rest of the list here. But always bear in mind, it's not just one class that different from the others. These are ways to classify the faculty. And every now and then we see, the classification here, of one type, being related to another type of mediumship. So we can say, I'm a flexible medium and full stop. It's not just, it doesn't work that way, but it's a way of, identifying certain characteristics of the faculty. But the faculty as a whole has many different characteristics. So with this classification here, it makes it easier for us to identify, where we can tick. Yeah, okay, this is for me, this one is for me, this is not. So you more or less, you have an idea map of the type of a faculty that, as a medium we have, okay? Let me just write down here. So next week is going to be
Second of September.
2nd of September, yeah. Oh. Okay. I'll write down, let's stop sharing. No. Yes, Charles, give us our final prayer, please.
Sure. So let's elevate our thoughts, expressing our gratitude towards these mentors who were with us to help us acquiring this knowledge, understanding these teachings, and also put them in practice when the time will come. Immensely grateful as well for the opportunity we have to gather like this, thanks to the technology, in order to share this knowledge and our experiences. May God bless all of us, and the peace of Jesus stay with us. So be it.
Thank you
Thank
all
you
for today.
very much. Thank
you so
you.
much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Next Saturday.
Bye.
Bye-bye.